Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We are talking about profiles and excellence. We're just getting into priorities. Melinda, I'm going to throw it over to you. Top 2 priorities for the Department of Justice.
All right, Luke, top 2. 1 is workforce. 2nd is identity management. Workforce, we need to continue to upskill the folks that we have, provide them training opportunities to continue to be a better professional, a more sophisticated professional. And certainly we want to recruit folks. There's natural turnover that comes with the IT industry. Probably, I would say that's even higher than some of your other functional areas, whether it's accounting or finance or HR. So we need to continuously have a pipeline of individuals that are willing to support the mission, that are interested in supporting the mission. And we can certainly give them a lot of exposure to very interesting projects that are really being supported across all of DOJ. So for any young folks that's looking for an opportunity in the federal government, come talk to me, come talk to us. There's plenty of work to do, but also interesting mission-oriented work that not only would be fulfilling as a professional, but hopefully would look good on their resumes for their next jobs. So that's on the workforce front. And then on
Love
the second
using
item,
this platform as a recruiting mechanism.
Yes, I had a smart a mentor who always tells me to do that. Thank you, Luke. So the second item is identity management. We at DOJ within cybersecurity arena, we've done a lot in terms of tracking our assets, making sure we always have our assets under management, monitoring for those that may not be, and then also ultimately bringing those into management. But I think at this point we've shifted. We've always known that we needed to focus on identity management using 2-factor authentication. But at this point, we're also centralizing the platform we're using to authenticate the individuals. So that's an important initiative for us to deliver on in FY23, is unifying how we determine who we let in onto our networks, into our asset, our application. So that piece is a goalpost I want to hit for FY23.
Such a critical situation. Nick, top priority for Pure Storage next year?
Great question. So our focus is driving down the total cost of data and improving our customers' ability to leverage their data more efficiently and effectively in order to deliver their desired outcomes faster and easier. We're doing this in 2 ways. We're focusing on improving the operating efficiency by creating the technology to start driving transformation to an all-flash data center. By making high-performance systems that are priced comparable to legacy data systems. And the second one is improving the business efficiency for our customers. So driving down the total cost of data by focusing on delivering that cloud operating model for unified infrastructure and continuing to enhance our business model to support more efficient consumption by our customers. So it's the technology and the business operations.
And no question, these agencies collecting massive amounts of data, so driving that cost down, super important. Speaking of a large agency that's collecting a lot of data, Gary, top 2 priorities for Department of Agriculture going forward.
Thanks, Luke. One would be we're very focused on improving service delivery and the experience for our customers. And I mean, when I say customers, I mean the American public. And that's everything from, making sure that when they engage USDA, they have the same experience as they do when they go to the ATM, they pay their loans, they apply, they buy a car online, that kind of thing. We want them to have that experience. And that's everything from the public facing engagement all the way to the back end, modernizing the technologies and making sure that they're secure and everything. So, we can do that. And weaving diversity, equity, and inclusion into that by, using technology to reach out to underserved communities or farmers that don't have access to USDA resources that, they would normally have access to, and they can do that in a modern fashion as well. And the second priority would be, again, as my colleagues have said, IT workforce. Whether it be the Forest Service has a Job Corps program where they're recruiting people for IT workforce in various areas of IT, such as cybersecurity. We've been reaching out to minority serving institutions, visiting these institutions, making sure that they understand that, USDA has a lot of opportunities. We're looking for modern skill sets. because the way IT has evolved, we are looking at how we engage our customers from an IT perspective and getting them involved in how we do things moving forward, so we can, truly have it be a collaborative experience and manage this as an enterprise and have folks that are able to support things such as AI or know something about machine learning and in the Internet of Things, which is becoming more and more of a desire in USDA, especially in our scientific community.
Sure. And a lot of discussion on this panel today about leadership, if you will, in regards to personnel and workforce, et cetera, which is interesting. And a nice segue into our last question. Melinda, I'm going to start with you. And this is really about leadership and sort of this changing dynamic environment that we're in. I just can't imagine, having gone through what you all went through over the last 3 and 4 years, with your own workforce, right? And trying to sort of keep them steady and focused on the North Star in your entire agency, and such a lean on the IT organization to operate in these dynamic environments. I just want to ask you about leadership and how you find yourself leading in this sort of new way of operating, not only with your own organization, but your agency.
I would say, Luke, sometimes it takes a challenging time to take us back to the basics. It does come down to actually people. Yes, today our new motto is we need to be able to provision and allow people to work from anywhere, from any device, at any time. And there's all sorts of evolution in terms of rolling out new applications, new ways of looking at data, but ultimately it comes down to having the right people supporting the organization. We have a lot of very committed individuals in the office of the CIO here within my office, but also across the entire department. And I think it is about their continued dedication and motivating them and helping them understand why we're doing what we're doing. Ultimately, it is for the purpose of supporting the greater mission of the Department of Justice, but letting each individual know that what they're doing makes a difference in contributing to the overall goodness and the accomplishments of our organization. I think that's critical, and helping people connect the dots of what they're doing actually matters. It is not just turning the dials on a widget or pushing paper from left to right, but rather it is truly enabling our frontline officers and prosecutors to be able to do their jobs, hopefully a little bit more effectively, a little bit more easily. So I think it still comes down, for me, at least personally, to people. We talked a lot about workforce. My workforce is similar to what Gary mentioned, and I think what also Ann mentioned in terms of a large number of them are retirement eligible. How do I potentially incentivize some of them to stay a little longer because they do have great institutional knowledge, but I have to have the new recruits come in to see the excitement really of our mission, to be able to bring them in and help them grow their careers, but also from a manager and leader perspective, I can get some productivity out of them. I think that's a beautiful win-win situation. Yes, we are CIOs, we're chief information officers. We do a lot with IT, with a lot of data, with the bits and bytes, but ultimately we need good people behind all of that to really be successful.
I really do appreciate it. Sylvia, you've run large organizations, you're in a small and mighty organization, you top-lined a lot of things that FDIC does. How do you find yourself sort of leading in that kind of an environment these days and trying to make sure you're accomplishing all these things that you've outlined?
I'm just going to say it's all about e pluribus unum.
Okay.
Out of many, one. It's about and that's all, to me, that's about teamwork. It's about seeing ourselves as a member of the team, whether you're talking about at the agency level or I'm talking about inside my own organization. I talk about us working as one driving force towards achieving these really hard, complex goals, because it takes true collaboration, teamwork, partnership, being willing to hear each other. I agree totally with what Melinda was saying, that it's about people, but kind of going further into that, it's about how we show up as individuals, as part of a team driving to an outcome. Because if you don't do that, basically you're pulling against each other, and dilutes your ability to actually approach a complex problem with like a solid force. And in my experience, you have the most success around the most complex and challenging work when you're unified and you each respect each other's role, because everybody brings something different to the table, right? When you can parlay that into kind of true teamwork, you can get, like I've just seen, you can get anything done. And I would say that the FDIC is an organization that thrives in times of crisis. And how does that happen? It's because the whole organization comes together and everybody pitches in. It doesn't matter like what your title is, right? You pitch in and you do whatever you need to do to help the organization get to what it needs to do. So that's my answer.
Laser focused on the North Star. I love it. Gary, I think about the situation over there at USDA. I'm sure you have thousands of folks that work for you directly, thousands of USDA employees out there that are working in this new emerging type of environment. And then as you've described in your answers there more than once, thousands of hundreds of thousands of customers out there that need these goods and services. So how do you find yourself leading and sort of, inspiring your organization to show up, as Sylvia says, and fight the good fight every day in that sort of very complex and massive scale that you're dealing with?
I think Melinda and Sylvia both hit the nail right on the head. It's all about people, and they have to feel like they're part of a team. And I keep reminding my staff that, they're part of something larger than themselves, and, we have to take a lot of pride in serving the American public and introducing them something that's of great value. And we spend a lot of time, we really listen to our customers. We've gotten to the OCIO is a part of the team. I have a very close relationship with my deputy secretary and the secretary. I listen to a lot of the political staff as well as the career leaders. And we have some very open, transparent conversations about their needs. And, and they trust that we're going to deliver to them. And OCIO is credible here at USDA. So we're all on the same team here. It's a great partnership with our program colleagues. We know we have a very diverse department with massive missions that affect everybody in America. So we really roll our sleeves up and we take a lot of pride in getting together and making sure that we, provide value-added solutions rather than harp on problems or things that may have happened many years ago. So, it's been a great experience being a CIO here at USDA with this team that we have.
And it's really an honor to have you on the show here and top line all these activities. And once again, another CIO that's run all different types of agencies and departments. Department of Energy, very complex, right? A lot of different moving parts with these labs and environment up at headquarters, et cetera. You've had an opportunity to lead in different types of ways, different types of mechanisms. How do you find yourself? What are the tools and techniques that you find yourself leaning on to make sure that these goals are being accomplished for the Department of Energy?
I want to emphasize the points already made and not repeat them, which is number one, people have to feel attached and associated in the mission. They can't just be like, I'm doing IT. They need to know why they're doing it. And then number two, it is about the team. The team, people I feel like they're part of a team, like they're working together to accomplish that mission. So from there, to your question, well, how do we get there? I think we are working in the most complex environment possible right now. I was just in Louisville earlier this week for our cyber fire training event, and we're hosting it hybrid this time. And the team was violently in agreement that from the future they're going to do one virtual a year and one in person a year because it's too hard to train people in a hybrid environment. But yet that is the environment we walk into every single day now in our workforce. And we struggle to maintain a culture in that environment, because I think, you get that mission focus, that teamwork. It all goes down to what's your culture? How do you create that team? And it's all about that culture, and it's all about relationships. And we are, I think, at DOE, at least to an extent, living on the relationships that were built before the pandemic started, and struggling to integrate people who came to us after the pandemic started. And we see a real difference in engagement among those two groups. We've got people who say, I know everybody, I can work great at home. And other people say, I don't know anybody, I need to see my colleagues. So we are doubling down on finding opportunities for people to meet each other in person, whether that's our OCIO team, whether it's DOE at large, whether it's our commitment this year. DOE has 97 plants and sites. My commitment is that this year, someone on my organization will set foot at every single one of those sites, that they will see our team, that we'll be present, and that they'll know that we care about them and we care what they're doing. So those relationships are just more important, because ultimately, and this is not we've all heard this before. People don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And developing a culture where people feel good about their work, showing up in person and showing people you're interested, that's what people remember. So I think that we have to double down right now on how we lead our people, how we build a culture, finding those opportunities to create that new workplace where people are in person intentionally. Right. We previously were in person every day because that was how the workplace was. We're not anymore. So how do we intentionally come together and build relationships? So that's, to me, the next step. And we haven't got it all figured out, but we're working to figure it out.
A remarkable way to close, and a good catch on those that were pre-pandemic and knew each other versus folks that have just entered into the workforce and have never met some of these folks person to person, including their bosses, right? So it's an interesting dynamic there. And we certainly do appreciate it. I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I'd like to thank the sponsors for supporting us on this show. I'd like to thank the good people here at Federal News Network that make our program so successful and enjoyable. And most of all, I'd like to thank the listening audience out there that tune in every month. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum, part of the Federal News Network.